Hello friends, it's your boy Jeff. Back with yet another video this week. I'm doing pretty good. This one is my vinyl tag video for the blues. Started by Chris over at Blues Vinyl Guy. He saw that there was a country music vinyl tag and a jazz vinyl tag, and he decided to start one for the blues. Which is great because I can actually participate in this one because I really can't do a country tag. Couldn't answer 20 questions worth of that, or jazz either. I mean, it wouldn't be very good. So, very glad that he decided to do this. I've got all the questions printed out nice and neat instead of in my chicken scratch handwriting. Got all the records pulled. And yeah, let's go. Let's have some fun. Gonna need my glasses though to read. All right, first question. An electric blues album. Pretty wide-ranging question. I just went with one of my favorites from the 80s by the great Robert Cray. This is album Strong Persuader. This is where I discovered Robert Cray. And this album still holds up from when it came out in 1986. I thought 85, but 86. Yep. Back in those days, he could still get played on the radio. And I heard Smokin' Gun, and I was hooked. And I've had this record ever since. So we went with Mr. Cray. Question number 2, an acoustic blues album. This may sound kind of heinous. I'll just show it here. This is the Country Blues of John Lee Hooker. This is just him playing an acoustic guitar. Didn't really care for this one as much as I did his other albums that are electric. Yeah, for some reason, his style, his intense, brooding style of singing and guitar playing, it doesn't translate. To me, it didn't translate as good with an acoustic guitar, the way he can get his music across with an electric. But nonetheless, this is an acoustic blues album, so I went with that. A live blues album. The great Albert Collins, Frozen Alive. This came out in 1981. This is also an Alligator label record, but I'll show that when I get to that question. I tried really hard not to do too many repeats with artists. I think I only have like 1 or 2. So, yeah, in the realm of guitar slingers, like I said recently when I showed his, I could have used the one that I just got, his appearance on Austin City Limits, but this one is great too. Frozen Alive by the Iceman, Albert Collins. Question number 4, show a gatefold or a double album. And this is where I repeated. Sorry, but I will show you Hooker and Heat. This is a promo copy, stamped instead of stickered. And it is indeed a gatefold. Fantastic album. This is really, really good. One disc is just John Lee by himself, just playing his own guitar and singing. And the other disc, he's backed by the members of Canned Heat. And he runs that band through their paces, for sure. Great, great blues album. Highly recommended, even for non-blues listeners. If you're into like that blues rock kind of thing, this would be a great one for you. Hooker and Heat. Love it. Okay. Your oldest album by year or how long you've had it. There were actually 2 answers I could have gone with, so I decided to use the other one for another question. But I bought Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues Singers back when I was in high school, back in the 80s, because I was, even back then, I was already trying to discover the roots of a lot of the music that I was listening to by, other British acts and more modern acts. So everybody always talks about, Robert Johnson as an influence. So I wanted to hear for myself. So I've had this one since like the mid 80s. This is probably the oldest record that I have that through my ownership. So there you go. And my newest album, which I just showed, A Gift from Emma at 8 Vinyl Low, Otis Rush, Right Place, Wrong Time. Haven't even played it yet, but I will shortly. You will see this in a spin zone near you very, very soon. All right. Question number 7. Show a Blues 45. This one was the hardest of all the questions for me to answer because I don't really have Blues 45s. So it might be a little bit of a stretch, but I've got Polk Salad Annie by Tony Joe White, and he counts as blues, right? Kind of that swampy, Delta swampy style of blues. This was a big hit for him back in the 60s. And it's really the only thing I have that's remotely blues related in the realm of 45s. So that's what I'm going with. Same with the next question, a blues 10-inch. I went with a 78. Let me take it out of the sleeve here. This appeared on the 78 Cavalcade way back when. Those Lonely, Lonely Nights by Johnny Guitar Watson on the RPM record label. If you want to look that video up in my on my channel, feel free. It's a great song, and it's got super intense guitar work by Johnny Guitar Watson. Maybe not strictly blues, but the way he sings and the way he plays guitar is very blues based. And I know Johnny Guitar Watson was an influence. Again, he was one of those influence guys on people like Stevie Ray and Fabulous Thunderbirds, people like that, among others. So, again, don't have a lot of 10-inch records unless they're 78. So that's what I went with. Johnny Guitar Watson on 78. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to take these next few out of their sleeves so I can show labels. First, the next question, question number 10, show a Chess Records label. This is a copy of Muddy and the Wolf on the Chess Records label. Just to show you the cover real quick. One side is Howlin' Wolf, the other side is Muddy Waters. And they both appear on Chess Records. This is a more modern, probably like an 80s style label for Chess. That's what I went with. So there we go with that. Then show a Delmark Records label. Again, let me pull this out of the sleeve. We got Hoodoo Man Blues by Junior Wells. One of the all-time greatest blues albums ever, especially if you're talking Chicago blues. This could have been an answer for the regional question too, but I didn't go with that. You'll see what my answer is. And that is on the Delmark label. This is a reissue from a couple of years ago. Sounds fantastic. Is fantastic. Hoodoo Man Blues by Junior Wells. We love it. Question number 11. This is the one to show an Alligator label. Hound Dog Taylor and the House Rockers, the very first album released by Alligator in 1971. A stone classic in the blues realm, if you ask me. And just about everybody else who's ever heard this will agree. Yeah. First record ever released by Alligator, and here it is. Here is the Alligator label. Now, some Alligator albums are the opposite of this. They have a green background with white lettering. This one has a white background with green lettering. So there are different styles of Alligator labels. Little interesting fun fact for you. All right. Question number 12. Show a smaller indie blues label. Again, pulling it out of the sleeve. I've got J.B. Hutto and the New Hawks, Keeper of the Flame. And you can see it's on Baron Records, which has got to be a smaller label because I never heard of it. And here it is. Baron Records. Picked this up at, where did I pick this up at? I got a huge haul of records like 2 years ago, and I think this was in there. There were a couple other blues ones in there. Pretty surprised to see it there, and pretty happy with the music. J.B. Hutto on Baron Records. Okay. Let's see. Question number 13. A blues album in a regional style. City, area, or country. You know I had to show them sooner or later. Who else does Texas blues better than Stevie Ray Vaughan? I ask you. Nobody. So I had to go with his debut album, Texas Flood. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And I never get tired of listening to this record. I could play it all the time and never get sick of it. And Texas Flood, I just played that song the other day. And it just ran through my head when I was looking at these questions. So that's my answer for Texas blues. I have plenty of Chicago blues choices that I went with, but didn't want to be super, super obvious. So we went with something slightly different. Not that Stevie Ray Vaughan's not obvious too, but you know. All right, where am I at here? Question number 14. Show a psych blues album. Again, I just went with one of the all-time classics. Jimi Hendrix has got to be the king of psych blues. It's got to be the king of the guitar, if you ask me. And this album, Axis Bold as Love, certainly certainly showcases that wonderfully. This is an early 70s pressing. I don't think it's an original one, but it just sounds fantastic. This is another album. Never get tired of listening to it. I could put this on any time of day or night and be happy. But yeah, I mean, you could name some other artists or bands, you know, in the psych blues category, but really, Jimmy stands at the top of the mountain for this stuff, so that's what I had to go with. Whoops. Okay. Number 15, show a British blues album. Sorry, I got these out of order. Fleetwood Mac's Before the Beginning. I haven't even played this one yet. I'm going to be playing this one soon, I hope. This is like a triple album, so it's going to be a bit of a time commitment. But I also have Volume 1. Fantastic stuff. This shows the first version of Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green and Jeremy Spencer and Danny Kerwin. And of course, John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. This is, like I said, a triple album release showcasing live tracks from in concert and studio demos as well. I have other early Fleetwood Mac albums and compilations, but this one was just the easiest for me to grab. I didn't have to dig into my stacks for this one. So, and Fleetwood Mac is was one of the premier British acts anyway. So, don't worry, you'll see mail in a little bit. Don't worry. An album by a king of the blues. I went with, I love B.B. King, don't get me wrong. Singular guitarist, fantastic tone, great singer. And I love Freddie King, also a fantastic singer and just incredible guitar sound. But Albert King really kicks ass. And I have more albums by him than I do by BB and Freddie combined. So I had to go with Albert. This is his live album, Livewire Blues Power. Look at that. What I wouldn't give to see that man play live. Ugh. Fantastic record. Just about any record he plays on, he just rules it and kills it. So if you've never listened to Albert King before, this would probably be a great album to start. So check it out. The great Albert King Livewire Blues Power on the Stax record label. Okay. An album in delicious color, colored vinyl. Recent one, Ben Harper and Charlie Musselwhite. Their album Get Up is pressed on red vinyl. There you go. Translucent red vinyl. Not a bad record. I bought this. I actually bought this by mistake. I was thinking of their other album when I had a coupon at Barnes & Noble. And I saw this and I thought it was the one and it wasn't. But this is still a good album too. Ben Harper is a great modern era bluesman. And of course, the great blues harp player, Charlie Musselwhite. You can't go wrong. So, on glorious translucent red vinyl, Get Up. Okay, we are closing in on the end here. I'm not doing too bad. A friend had the blues and you caught it too. Or in other words, a recommendation. Now, if you're watching my videos with any regularity, you know that Emma Date Vinyl Low is one of my great friends here in the VC. And you also know that she is the queen of British blues. And when I started watching her videos, she kept talking about John Mayall and the Blues Breakers. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know, you like them, great, da-da-da. Never really paid too much attention to them. And she had sent me the Beano album, which was the one that featured Eric Clapton as a guitarist. And I was like, well, you know, it's really, really good. I really like this record. And a little bit later on than that, she sent A Hard Road. This is the follow-up album to the Beano. Clapton had left, and Peter Green had taken his place. Now, you can argue back and forth, you know, over which album is better. Pretty much whichever one is spinning at the time, to me, is better. I really couldn't pick one over the other, but this is a fantastic record. And it really kind of turned me in the direction of paying more attention to John Mayall. So, yeah, see, there's a note there. So, on her fervent love of these guys and recommendation, I ended up discovering some really great music. So, that's my answer for this question. A Hard Road by John Mayall and the Blues Breakers with Peter Green as the guitarist. Great, great stuff. Okay. A glorious blues find or discovery is question 19. Hold on, I need a drink. I'm getting dry mouth here. Last year, I only went to a record store, I think, once or twice in the whole year. And of course, these days, whenever I go to a new shop that I've never been to before, I usually always check their blues section first. And I found this. This is on the Alligator label too. This is by Sun Seals, called Midnight Sun. And at the time, I was reading the Alligator Records book called Bitten by the Blues. And I just remember reading parts where Sun Seals was recording his albums for Alligator, and this was one of them. So, by happy circumstance, I came across it, and I picked it up just to see, because I usually like just about all of Alligator releases. And man, let me tell you, this is a fantastic album. It's funky, it's bluesy, of course. It's got great guitar work and singing. It came out in the 70s, like in, I think 1976 or something like that. But yeah, 76. But kind of a happy accident. And those are usually the best kinds of accidents when it comes to record collecting and buying. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this to discover Sun Seals. Unfortunately, I don't have any other albums by him, but on the strength of this one, I'm always on the lookout for something by the great Sun Seals. So that's my answer to this question. And that was question number 19. All right, last question. The first blues album that you remember getting. Turns out I don't actually have that album anymore, but I'm going to substitute it. And you can see in the background my giant Blues Brothers poster. The soundtrack to the Blues Brothers movie was the album that I would have shown, but I don't have that album anymore. I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. So I'm substituting this one. This is Briefcase Full of Blues, just to have something to show. And long ago, for a contest entry, I think it was by Brad at H2 Vinyl, one of his early contests, where you talked about what influenced you in your musical tastes. And I have to say, the Blues Brothers movie, more than anything else, and I was like 9 or 10 when it came out in 1980, did more to lead me into the realm of blues music than just about anything I can think of. As silly as that sounds, I know it's the Blues Brothers is, it's kind of a comedy movie, but watching that movie, you get James Brown, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, John Lee Hooker, who was singing Boom Boom on Maxwell Street. I was obsessed with that song when I first heard it, and it only plays, it only plays in the movie for like, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds. And I mean, every piece of music that was in there was something that I liked. When Jake and Elwood are driving the Bluesmobile, right before they get pulled over by the cops for the first time, they're playing Sam and Dave. I was like, who's Sam and Dave? I gotta find out who these guys are, because they were playing Soothe Me by Sam and Dave. And not so much Cab Calloway. I mean, Minnie the Moocher is okay, but even the Blues Brothers backing band, Steve the Colonel Cropper, Donald Duck Dunn, these guys were in the MGs with Booker T and the MGs. Matt Guitar Murphy, God rest his soul. The horn section was fantastic. Mr. Fabulous, Blue Lou, just unbelievable top flight musicians surrounding Jake and Elwood, who really couldn't sing all that well, to be honest. I mean, Dan Aykroyd played all the harp parts that he blew in the movie and on the soundtrack, which is pretty admirable. He did a good job there, but Belushi isn't that great of a blues singer. And even when they're doing their show at the Palace Hotel Ballroom on Lake Wasapamonte, and Jake introduces Sweet Home Chicago and dedicates it to the late, great Magic Sam, I didn't know who the F that was. And it wasn't until many years later that I did, but I'm like, Magic Sam? To a 10-year-old kid, you're like, what? It was all like alien and new, but exciting. So, as silly as it is to say, one of the reasons I'm sitting here, and one of the reasons that I have all these albums to show for a blues vinyl tag like this, is because of these guys. Go figure, right? So that's my answer for the final question. which I think I've already forgotten what it is. Oh yeah, the first blues you remember getting, right. So yeah, that's my answer. And there you go. That's 20 questions, 25 minutes, just over 25 minutes. Not too bad. So once again, Chris, thank you for doing this final tag. It's a lot of fun, relatively easy to do. And if anybody else has any interest in doing it, I highly recommend it. It's fun. It made me, go through the collection a little bit. I haven't really looked through some of those records lately, so it was kind of fun. So yeah, that's going to be it for now. Peace, everyone. Be good. Stay safe. It's your boy Jeff. I will see you later.